Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you. And of course, I say that all of the times, but I really mean that. Today's show is special to me because, we're going to talk about something that, first of all, three things actually, but we have to take note. I tell you what, let's just get into the show right away because I think I have a lot to cover, and I hope some of you would give me a call at 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. Anyhow, the title of the show today is Reverend Barber's Impeachment Rally, Ocasio-Cortez Revenge, and Robert Reich, No to Socialism Trope. Again, title of the show, Reverend Barber's Impeachment Rally, Ocasio-Cortez Revenge, Robert Reich, No to Socialism Trope. Reverend Dr. William Barber's impeachment rally was successful, but it was poorly covered. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has a message to the DCCC with her actions. In other words, she's not going to use the words. She's not going to tell these guys, no, you shouldn't be doing that. With her actions, my brothers and sisters, with her actions, and deservedly so. And Robert Reich dismisses the socialism trope. Because you know what? No matter what we do, we can't run. We cannot run from Republicans attempting to tag Democrats, whether progressives or otherwise, with the socialism trope. So we better get our act together and understand and be ready to defend policies and not fall for fear of labels. Defend policies and not fall for the fear of labels. Anyway, starting. Reverend Dr. William Barber marched on the White House to deliver a stern message to our corrupt president and his administration. Unfortunately, it was not covered effectively as it should have been. You know what? We will. It's interesting because I got an email last week from Barber's people saying, hey, we'd like you to go ahead and, we read your stuff at Daily Coast. We want you to go ahead and interview El Señor Barber and let folks know about this that was going to be happening on Wednesday. It was a virtual impeachment rally to admonish the president and his administration. And you know what? They did it. The week before or a few days before, Franklin Graham had a day of prayer, a Sunday of prayer or something for the president, and all the networks carried that. But they didn't. For Barber, who had a whole lot more people from several denominations, not only evangelicals, but from all over, Jewish, Muslim, everything, to admonish the president. Yet, you got a little write-up in the Washington Post, and Common Dreams did a great job of covering it. But it didn't get the coverage it should. So we're going to let you hear what Dr. Barber had to say on Wednesday, which was yesterday. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Also, recently the DCCC attempted to stunt progressives. They said any progressive who attempted to challenge one of our incumbents to make sure folks don't support them. We aren't going to have any DCC money going to these folks. In other words, they wanted to stunt anybody that thought that an incumbent was not progressive enough or doing or supporting his people as they should. So what did they do? They said, we ain't supporting you. And that's what they wanted to do. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she didn't say, they said much, they complained and whatever, but you know what? What they're going to do is going to speak a lot louder, and it probably made it more existential to the progressive movement what they decided to do. And lastly, Professor Reich has a message for Democrats and the population at large. Do not fall, he says, for the socialism trope. Do not fall for the socialism trope, because it is imperative that all Democrats realize that it doesn't matter what you do. It does not matter what you do. They are going to be tagging you as a socialist. So therefore, it's incumbent on you not to specifically run from the trope. You don't want to run from the trope. You don't want to run. But what you want to do is you want to be ready to tell the American citizenry, folks, this is what I will be doing for you. It is imperative that we understand what's going on here, people. It's imperative that we understand. So, I mean, we have quite a bit to cover. I hope you stick with me. I hope you also consider calling in 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. So how do I want to start this baby? I want to go ahead and start this baby by telling you, yes, he had a very successful move when he went to D.C. and before he started the march. This is what El Señor Barber had to say, and let me go ahead and get the video lined up here for you. This is what El Señor Barber had to say.
There's a scripture in Jeremiah 22 that says there comes a time when the people of faith, particularly clergy and other religious people, can no longer sit on the sidelines, can no longer just send letters, can no longer just pray within the confines of the sanctuary. But the text actually says, go down to the place of power, go down to the palace, and warn the nation of its own crisis. Tell the nation to stop mistreating the poor. Tell the nation to stop taking the rights of the vulnerable. Tell the nation to stop hurting immigrants. And tell the nation to stop engaging in policies that literally murder people's lives, are forms of policy violence. To warn the nation. It's time to call the nation to repentance and call all people of goodwill out to conscientious protest, conscientious standing up. We are seeing in this country right now a president who on one day is trying to have a national day of prayer, while on the next day he has sent members of his administration to prey on those who need health care. We are seeing him and his enablers pass policies over and over again that will hurt the poor and the vulnerable. We are seeing a destruction of our constitutional principles, the basic principles of establishing justice, ensuring domestic tranquility, providing for the common sense, and promoting the general welfare and equal protection under the law. This is a time of crisis for which this nation must repent, and we must warn the president and others that it's time for them to repent and stop, because enough is enough. We do this because we love this nation. We love the people in this nation. But love requires truth-telling. Love requires standing up for what's right. Love requires that we always speak up and we're not silent, because to be silent, as Dr. King would say, is a form of betrayal. So we're inviting you, clergy and people of faith, to join us June the 12th, beginning at the New York Presbyterian Church, as we will process down Pennsylvania. There's a scripture in Jeremiah.
Okay, folks, so that is the beginning of, that is what he said at the beginning of the movement. So here's the deal. Here's what I want to talk about. First of all, we know one important thing. It was no secret that Reverend Dr. William Barber and his cohort were having an interfaith march on the White House this Wednesday. He announced it on Politics Done Right. He announced it on Democracy Now! And on a few other media networks. You know, in his interview and announcement on Politics Done Right, Dr. Barber said then that rally leaders and attendees intended to stand up to what we see as immoral activity, breaking with both covenants our Constitution covenant, and the covenant with our deepest religious values. Close quote is what he said. He went on to call out Jerry Falwell and Franklin Graham and others, open quote, who have decided to hijack our religion and try to use it in a way that endorses President Trump and his administration. Barber pointed out that President Trump's policies violate the core values of Jesus, which include taking care of the poor, the least among us, and the immigrant. He said that is the reason this group of organizations concluded that they must issue a prophetic and a moral impeachment of the president. The march, according to Common Dreams, hundreds of interfaith leaders stood ready to face arrest outside the White House on Wednesday, where they delivered a moral indictment to an immoral administration. The march and rally, dubbed Moral Witness Wednesday, was organized to denounce the President Donald Trump administration cruel and unjust policies, including the detaining of migrant children and attacks on the healthcare access. Reverend Dr. Barber and Rabbi Arthur Waskow, director of the Shalom Center, initially conceived of the action, organizations say. In a tweet ahead of the protest, Barber, who is also president of Social Justice Group Repairers of the Breach and co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, explained the motivation for the action. Jeremiah 22 tells us that when political leaders abuse their office and hurt the people, we must show up in person to deliver a prophetic indictment. Now is the time. Join us June 12, he said. And you know when June 12 was. It's today. Other religious leaders taking part include Reverend Dr. Liz Theo Harris, co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign, Iman Al-Hajj Talib, Abdur Rashid, Amir, president of the Muslim Alliance in North America, and Rabbi Esther Lederman, director of Communities of Practice and Congregational Innovations for the Union of Reform Judaism. Look, when Franklin Graham that is, right? When he decided to have a day of prayer for President Trump, major media outlets made a big hoopla about it. Oh, it was a big thing, you know. There's a group of ministers that are going to pray for the president. Did Reverend Barber's virtual impeachment rally get commensurate attention? Did these guys say, you know what? Imagine if 250 guys supported him, you know? Shouldn't we go out and kind of like support Barber? Well, when Franklin Graham decided to have a day of prayer for President Trump, major media outlets made a big hoopla about it. Did Reverend Barber's virtual impeachment rally get commensurate attention? Of course not. Reverend Barber pointed out that when Franklin Graham claimed he had a letter signed by 250, this is what he told me, 250 in clergy exalting prayers for Trump, it was a significant mainstream media story. Now, he didn't have to tell me that because I also saw it on TV. He pointed out that they have over 5,000 signatures and that it includes religions of every stripe. There has been no commensurate coverage, in other words. Even getting 20 times, I repeat, even getting 20 times more signatures was not enough to get better coverage. And you wonder why Donald Trump is president? Do you wonder? Do you wonder? Barber challenged the media about covering the actual event. Judging from the current coverage, they failed irrespective. The event was successful. At the gates of the White House, the activists delivered signed petitions which state in part, as President Trump and his administration let the nation suffer, we must lead with a unified, proactive, and creative response that is not confined by right or left, Democrat or Republican, but is rooted in the clear moral center of right and wrong. It is time to warn the nation and call this administration to repent of their sins. Friends, it is time for us to go together to the palace gates with a clarion call. Stop the weaponization of judicial appointments. Attend the 14th Amendment, the bedrock of equal protection under the law. Uphold the Constitution. Número dos, stop mandating a census question designed to ensure millions are uncounted. Número tres, attend to the 140 million poor and low wealth people. Stop the abuse of executive power to pollute our communities with pipelines and privatizing public resources. Attend to our water and air. Stop the assault on the Affordable Care Act and on health care for women and children in poverty. Attend to the health of your people. Stop the brutal treatment of the stranger at the southern border. Stop warehousing children in detention camps. End child detention. Attend to compassionate and humane immigration policies that affirm the divinity within all human beings. Instead of covenantal leadership for justice, compassion, healing, and the empowerment of all, these sinful acts of current administration pursue subjugation of racial, religious, ethnic, and gender minorities, of women, of children, of the suffocating middle class, workers, family farmers, the poor, and people who fall sick, of immigrants and refugees, of the free press, of the Constitution, even of earth, our common home. This hate-filled subjugation violates the covenant. It must not stand. So says the report given directly to the White House. Now, folks, this is the type of one-sided coverage that gave us Donald Trump. It is the dereliction and the complicity of the media that could give Trump a second term. And for those who just think this can't happen, remember, you thought what has happened couldn't happen as well. Folks, that telephone number is 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. And guess what I forgot to do? I forgot to bring up our chat screen that has a chat from both YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, and all of those all in one. So let me run to that screen to see if I have any answers to provide. Daniel Ledo, weaponization of the, and I'm going to go to the AOC subject in a minute. Daniel Ledo says, weaponization of the judiciary. Yeah, let's talk about how the leftists did with Kavanaugh. Oh, Kavanaugh shouldn't be there in the first place, brother, and you know that. But I don't think too many people would admit that. Kathleen Morin Morgan, Trump tweeted that Sarah Huckabee Sanders is leaving at the end of the month. The liar is gone. The liar is gone. Thank you for giving me that heads up. Kathleen, I can always count on my people. I have the best listeners, both on the left and on the right. See, Ledo, I just gave you a compliment, and you know what? That is from the heart, and I really mean that. And Trump tweet, okay, let's see what else. Lee Grant, hello, Lee Grant, how you doing, my brother? Kathleen Morgan says, hi, all from rainy. I can never say correctly the name of your city. So one of these days you have to call in, Kathleen, and tell me exactly how I am supposed to pronounce your city. In fact, you should call in and give us your voice and tell us, hey, this is how you pronounce it, Egberto, and don't ask it again. You should know it. I've been on your show for too many times not to know how to pronounce the name. Okay, if nobody wants to talk about Barber or come and give any more further information, I'm going to jump to the other subject. But beforehand, I just want to tell you guys something. Look, for all of you guys that are listening, my brothers and my sisters, it is important right now. Tom Hartman was on today. I was listening to Tom Hartman this morning, right? And all of us in the progressive media are going through the same thing, and that is all our presidential candidates are sucking up all of the subscriptions and all of the contributions to keep this thing going. So I want to ask all you brothers and sisters to please remember to, and this is going to be a short 30 seconds, so stick with me. Don't leave me. Stick with me for 30 seconds. I need you guys to go to patreon.com/politicsandright, patreon.com/politicsandright. Subscribe to Politics and Right. Subscribe to these types of shows. Not only mine, but others. Our subscription levels are very inexpensive, but we are needed to get the message out because we're mainstream media cannot do it because they have to cater to their advertisers. Many of their advertisers are hospitals, insurance companies, drug companies, etc. They can't be too hard on those guys. If you want the truth, we, the independent media, are the one that's going to do it. If you subscribe to us, you get online access immediately to As I See It, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. You also get, as you know, I once was overweight and very high blood pressure, lose weight and be fit. Now I told you what I did, and it actually worked, and I've done it for years, and I decided to book on it. And of course, I'm writing now, How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. I'm on my 3rd chapter right now. So please go to patreon.com/politicsandright. And by the way, you can also go to the store because we now have a whole lot of stuff at our store right now. That is the Politics Done Right cup, my friends. So don't forget to get your Politics Done Right cup. We have t-shirts. We have the whole works there to help support putting the movement first. You know, that's what we do here. The progressive movement first. That's what we're all about. We're going to talk about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Oh, by the way, that is at store.politicsdoneright.com. Store.politicsdoneright.com. And of course, we also have a GoFundMe for some new equipment to speed up all the processing that we do here. So please go ahead and look up our GoFundMe, and I'm going to put in the link sometime soon. I forgot to put it in actually. I'm terrible at fundraising. I am horrendous at fundraising because I like to do what we have to do. Anyway, the next topic that we need to talk about is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. As you guys know, something interesting happened, right? The Democratic Party said, you know what? If there's an incumbent running, and I may not have it exactly correct, but if an incumbent is running, they didn't want progressives to do absolutely anything to challenge that person, which is crap, because we have a whole lot of folks out there that aren't doing the right thing. Carl Seiler, I don't always agree with Barber, but I recognize him as a prophetic voice for the downtrodden and powerless. He fights the good fight. Carl Seiler, I agree with you. He fights the good fight. I would love to know what you don't agree with him with, because, you know, who knows, maybe there's something that I don't know. So why don't you type in there as well, what is it that you think he may be off on, because it may be something worth discussing in this forum as well. Okay. Anyway, Vox released this note today. I hadn't seen it at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So what I want to do is kind of read the first part of the article that says, lead organizers from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's 2018 campaign are taking on the consultant class with a new initiative to train the next generation of progressive organizers and staffers. Movement School, a 10-week professional development program launched by Organize for Justice, the sister organization of Justice Democrats, and that's who she was with. She was with Justice Democrats, and there's another one called I don't remember the name of it, but she was with Justice Democrats, which got her elected. When I interviewed her at Netroots Nation, that is who actually brought her to our network when we interviewed her to talk about the issues. And right then I said, Alexandria, you are the next congressperson from your district. She laughed, oh, thank you. And she was, you know. But anyhow, so the sister organization of Justice Democrats is teaching fellows how to work as campaign managers, communication directors, and field directors. Guess what? You have consultants. Well, I'll tell you about that later. Let me finish with this part of the article. The Campaign Fellows Program is meant to create a pathway for young activists from working class backgrounds to enter official campaign roles and to preserve the lessons grassroots campaigns have learned throughout the years by passing them down to future staffers, all while setting up an alternative political infrastructure that operates outside of the Democratic Party, which means you don't have to follow the repressive rules that sometimes hold back the policies that most Americans want. the policies that most Americans want. And we'll discuss that in a little bit. Ironically, the progressive movement's work to build its own political infrastructure may have been inadvertently accelerated by a policy designed to suppress the party's insurgent wing. In March, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee announced a new policy to blacklist any firms working for primary challengers, effectively protecting the party's white male incumbents in safe blue seats. As a result of the DCCC blacklist, several consultants dropped the primary campaign of Marie Newman, the pro-abortion rights progressive who has launched a second challenge to Illinois Representative Dan Lipinski, one of the few anti-abortion Democrats in the House. Despite the blacklist, organizations like Emily's List, Neal, Pro-Choice America, and the Progressive Change Campaign Committee have still rallied behind Newman's change. A movement school participant even went on to work for Newman after the trainings. So you see, folks, I love what I'm seeing, right? And here's what I love about it. A progressive movement is just that, a progressive movement. We have parties, party establishments on all sides, and we have movements. What we have is a progressive movement that so far has been a part of the Democratic Party. I like to say it runs in parallel with the Democratic Party. As long as the Democratic Party lives by its values, as long as the Democratic Party lives by its tenets, as long as the Democratic Party lives by what's written in its blueprint, you know, the platform, the Democratic platform, Democrats and progressives coexist perfectly. The problem is, many in the establishment, the leadership, they have gotten away for too long by appealing the corporate structure because for some reason they want the funding from them, right? And in doing so, they've hurt not themselves, they've hurt the people they represent. Obamacare was a good first step, but it wasn't the first step that it had to be. It could have been a lot better, and it wasn't because of Republicans that it wasn't a lot better. It wasn't a lot better because of corporate Democrats. It's hard to say, and it is something that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, because she owes her election to nobody, can say. It is what these great young people that are going to form a part of, what's the name of the organization? These great young people that are going to take this 10-week course, this movement school. I love these people, these campaign fellows. I am going to be following these young people. I'm going to be listening to these young people because these are the people that have to live with what we did to them. So it is time for them to take over. And you know what? It's great to see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's great to see Ilhan Omar. It's great to see Rashid Tlaib. It's great to see Ayanna Pressley. It's great to see these young people saying, you know what? We are not falling in line. We are going to support what's best, what Americans have been asking for, and not just taking what's given. So this, continuing. In addition to creating a pipeline for a diverse talent, the program is meant to help first-time candidates connect with progressive staffers. Movement School co-founder Gabe Tobias said, circumventing consultants and pollsters who advise against talking about ambitious left-wing policies out of fear it turns off voters without any evidence to back that up. You know what they call a left-wing policy? They call a left-wing policy forgiveness of debt. Forgiveness of debt for that the bankers ripped off student is a left-wing policy. Can you believe that? That is a left-wing policy. That is not a left-wing policy. That is a middle-class progressive policy, something that most people in the middle class want. right? So don't dare you call that some left-wing policy, because it is not at all. So going back to the article, I mean, when I saw this, and you know what, it's interesting because the program today was going to talk about Barber and also the socialist trope that Reich is talking about, and that kind of drives right into what Ocasio-Cortez and her people are doing with the Justice Democrats, right? Because again, notice that they don't want to talk about climate change. Democrats don't want to have a debate about climate change. Who is it that they think they're going to turn off? Here's what's happening, right? By Democrats not taking that space, they are allowing the corporate Democrats and the corporate people to create a new narrative, a more pleasurable, a more pleasant anti-climate type position. That's what they want, right? One that is not as urgent as those of us on the left know it needs to be. That's what they're doing. They're leaving space. If you listen to Biden is leaving space for, well, we can take it in a measured format. Now, that is so wrong. Right now, we have the worst flooding the Midwest has ever had. The worst flooding. We have the fires that are starting to pop up again on the West Coast and all throughout the country. This is the ideal time for Democrats to hold the bull by the horns and win the Midwest on climate change. This is the time that we have, that we can say, guess what, Midwest? When they told you that it was a left-wing idea to talk about climate change, to talk about what the fossil fuel companies are doing, to talk about why the fossil fuel companies should have zero tax breaks, and that money should go to building those dikes to help with the mitigation of floods. Instead of giving them the benefits, we should be out there making sure those tax benefits go to you. We should be raising the tax. We shouldn't be putting taxes on fossil fuel companies so that they will have the money to build the infrastructure being destroyed by the waves of water coming from the sky because of climate change. They caused the problem by lying to you since the 80s, even though they knew the fossil fuel industry would exacerbate the climate situation. They knew it, but they continued. They hid it. So now they should pay to help you in the Midwest, and it's not a left-wing policy. It always behooves me how lousy Democratic marketing is, till you realize that it's not that Democratic marketing is lousy, it's that it is lousy to ensure that the corporations are protected. You see? Because we know with all the damage that's occurring in the Midwest, with all the damage that the hurricanes have caused, with all the damage that is continuously happening with the fires and all these issues, we have the platform now. We have the case to be made because we're not making the case in some abstract form. We can come out there and say, hey guys, look, you can see what is happening. This is what we're talking about. This is what we mean. That's the Democratic message. And that in the Midwest would sell now. Those farmers that are underwater, we can say, farmers, we're coming to your rescue. You know why I said that Donald Trump could actually win again? You know why I said that? Because here's the other deal with Donald Trump. Donald Trump, everybody's looking at the tariffs, and everybody's paying for it. Oh, no. He can actually make the case. I'm bringing back the jobs to you. You're going to feel a little bit of pain right now, but these other guys didn't have the balls to do it. I do. Donald Trump is going to change the message when you least expect it. He's going to turn your pain into a sacrifice for better tomorrow. And we cannot see through the tea leaves. We sit down there every day and say, oh, well, Biden is beating Donald Trump here, and Biden is beating Donald Trump there, and Warren is beating Donald Trump there. And It's BS. I can make a narrative for Donald Trump right now that if we don't impeach Donald Trump, if we give Donald Trump the pass that the media is giving him, if we give Donald Trump the pass that the Democratic Party is giving him, I can create a narrative to make Donald Trump get reelected again with the policies that he's currently using. And you know why? Because the Democrats don't have the balls to use what's happening today and saying this is why it's happening and these are the changes that we intend to put in to solve those problems. You see? So think about it, my brothers and my sisters. It is not going to be up to the media. It is not going to be up to the establishment Democratic Party. It is going to be up to those progressives like us, the independent media, all of us getting together and doing it on our own. We cannot expect the party structure. We cannot expect any of that. We are going to do it just like, 2018, I love what the party has been saying. Hey, don't forget, in 2018, all the candidates that got elected were the ones that were moderate. Well, let's kind of look at that. No, the tipping point for all those moderate candidates that got elected in the primaries, specifically because of a whole lot of shenanigans. I can tell you what happened in District 7 here, where the party made some very huge mistakes. Well, we won't go there because I got a call and I want to bring that call in. All right, let's go to 781. 781, come on in. First of all, who do I have the honor of speaking to on 781?
Hi, Egberto. It's Kathleen.
Kathleen. Beforehand, Kathleen, why don't you tell me, how do you pronounce your city?
Situate.
Situate. Wow. You know what?
Yeah, it's a Native American term, and offhand I can't tell you what it means. It's escaping my mind right now.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? That is quite interesting because you're probably going to have to tell me that again. But anyway, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing fine. I'm excited because of what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Justice Democrats are doing now to get around what the DCCC has done. But tell me what you want to tell me.
Well, I wanted to give you a little bit of information I discovered yesterday.
Okay.
Yesterday in the House, the Ways and Means Committee held a hearing on health care, and the chairman of the committee is Representative Richard Neal, who's from Massachusetts.
Right.
So I pay attention to all my Massachusetts people.
Of course.
And he's not my rep, but I still keep an eye on all of them. I read an article in Sludge. I don't know if you're familiar with Sludge. They're a money and politics. They're a money and politics site, which is my number one issue. I also follow Open Secrets, Center for what is it called?
I know which one you
Center
mean.
for Responsible Politics.
Right.
There's a whole bunch of them. But anyway, Sludge had an article yesterday profiling Representative Neal's donations from the health-related industries. And so I went to his Facebook page and pasted the link to, there was an Intercept article and the Sludge article. And I asked him probably about 6 questions, pointed questions with no emotion, no judgment. But I just said, are you concerned at all that you're accepting this money from the health-related industries may appear as corrupt to your constituents? Do you feel that this poses a conflict of interest when it comes to Medicare for All, which has the majority support of Americans? Do you feel you can be impartial in making a good decision on behalf of your constituents and the American people, among other questions. There were a couple other ones that I put, but not that I expected him to answer, but I wanted his constituents
to have a
to be
discussion
aware.
of it, yes.
Right, like, you guys better keep an eye on this because, you got to follow the money.
Right.
So, I just wanted to give you the heads up about that, and
Let me ask you a question, though. Kathleen. Did you check to see if, first of all, they didn't ban you from the group, right?
from his Facebook page?
Yes.
No.
Okay, good. So
A
let me ask
couple
you.
of people actually.
Let me
A
ask you
couple of
something.
people actually liked
Your post.
Liked my post.
Okay, so let me ask you something because I'd like to use you as a template. Did people? First of all, can you copy paste some of that stuff with that dialogue that you did on his page, and email it to me or get it to me however you can, because what I want to do is I want to use you as a template as far as what we need to do, because what you did was an excellent thing, because you opened the door. You opened the door for him to watch his back now, because people see him and the way he talks during the hearing. They don't know about what you just said. You just opened a new box. So what I'd love to do is for you to kind of copy paste the questions that you put in there in that format, and then some of the responses that are out there. Because let me tell you something else about the congressman. He also was trying to convince his people in that room not to use the word Medicare for all.
Right. That was one of the questions I posed.
Right. He told them, hey.
And I asked him, how would they talk about the legislation that was just proposed called Medicare for All if he prohibited the committee members from using that term?
Exactly.
When it's the title of one of the bills that's currently in the House.
And so
it's ridiculous.
Now let me ask you this: did you watch the hearing at all? Did you completely watch the hearing?
I watched some of it. I didn't get to watch all of it.
And did they really not say that? Was it that no no Democrat said Medicare for all?
During the time I watched it, I didn't hear a single person use the phrase.
Okay, great. Please, Kathleen, please follow up with me on that, on the piece that you wrote, and also the response, because I want to write a blog around it. And actually, I'm going to. Let me know if I can use your name or not, because this is one of them that I'm going to put on the Daily Coast. Because what you did, I don't know if you understand how effective what you did was. I love to see that kind of engagement.
Egberto, this is how I troll my local politicians.
Great. Well,
I call them out for the money that they receive that looks and smells like a conflict of interest.
Well, let me tell you, young lady, let me tell you something. I am going to blow your story up, because I love what because, some people do this, but the way you described it today was so effective, and I liked what you said in the beginning. There was no direction there was no malice in the questions. They were just straightforward questions without unemotional. Just stating the facts on the question. You weren't directing the question, but and that's what I want. I want to use that as a teaching moment.
I've done this to both Senator Markey and Senator Warren, who are both Massachusetts senators.
If you have other examples of that, put it in, because I really want to build a story around that. I really want to build a story around that, because that is the kind of trolling that we need to teach our progressive listeners. Because I was just talking. I was saying something to my wife a few minutes ago, and I said, a lot of people listen to the show, and we talk about griping and all these things that are happening, right? But I'm like, for me, it's not about trying to instill hope in people. It's more trying to instill action in people, and the belief that their action is going to will bring something to fruition. And what you're doing, one of the things that we're talking about.
Right.
So that is
Right.
So first of all, I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you for calling and telling that out. Is there anything else you want to say, my friend?
No, that's it. Great show today. Thank you so much for profiling the Reverend Barber and his efforts, and I appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Kathleen. And please don't forget, I'm going to be waiting on that stuff because we're going to be profiling you next.
Okay, all right.
Have a good one,
Thanks,
Kathleen.
Egberto.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, folks, that was Kathleen Morgan. And you know what? Kathleen is also a member of Le Coffee Party USA. And you know, folks, I always tell you guys, right? We have to support these groups that are doing positive things. We have to really start making sure to do these, because the way we do that, right, is we have to show these politicians that we not only that we care, but that we're going to be involved, and we're not going to let them run over us. Because the truth of the matter is, you know, that phrase, the squeaky wheel gets the grease and all that kind of stuff, that's real. If you're complaining, you are going to get folks to respond. Okay, let me go to Mike Cisak says, oil and gas companies in the U.S. pay the highest amount of corporate taxes of all companies. It's a lie to say they don't. It is not a lie to say they don't. And let me explain to you, my friend, you know, it's all in how you calculate money. These guys are using the resources that belong to the United States of America as they drill on on public land and get the oil. First of all, I don't even believe oil on private land should really belong to that person who calls himself the property owner. Technically speaking, they didn't put it there. That is a mineral that was there on the country. I think that belongs to the country, but hey, that's another discussion. But when it comes to on public lands, that these guys get things like exclusionary taxes and all of that, no, sir. You can say they pay the highest taxes. Yeah, they pay a lot because of the amount of stuff they're taking out. But they're taking all this stuff out for free. So please don't dare tell me, my dear brother, Mike Cisak, you know, I love you, but you're wrong, that somehow they pay an inordinate amount of taxes. If it were up to me, they'll be paying 90% in taxes on all the profits. And the reason why is they didn't do anything after they've recovered their costs of drilling. Why should they be making money off of something that was placed there just through existence? I'm sorry. You can buy into the Kool-Aid that somehow these guys are deserving. Look, I wrote software for the oil company, my brothers and sisters. I wrote software that blew the hole into casings so that you could pull the oil out of the different strata. So I know what I'm talking about. Okay, Daniel Ledoux. WTF are you talking about? Democrats give Trump a pass. Are you insane? Oh, boy. If Democrats were on to Trump the way the Republicans were on to Obama, Trump would be in meltdown mode because, you know, Trump doesn't have much. Trump is a caricature that still have a 4-year-old mentality. So, no, Democrats are not giving Trump near the hell that he should be getting. So, no, it's not WTF, my dear brother Daniel Ledoux. It is just the truth. Now, Lee Grant, Medicare for all will be a big hit with illegal. Well, look. First of all, I'm not going to go there with the illegal about Medicare for all because that's a trope. I am so sorry that so many are so ill-informed as to what the illegal, and I see you put aliens, and they're not illegal aliens, they're undocumented workers, okay? And they're what? Assuming, Lee Grant, I don't know what your race or anything is, but assuming you're of Anglo-Saxon descent, your people were illegal aliens when they came here because, you know, they just came here, killed people, and took the land, okay? So let's be careful with how moralizing we want to get about these illegal aliens, because the people that came here and dropped land and then killed those people who helped them get ahead, you know, I always tell people this. When the folks came from Europe and colonized America, they came here to conquer, maim, kill, and enslave. Those people that come in south of the border, they just want a job. So you guys can play whatever game you want and try to demonize people. look in the mirror. Many of you who are demonizing people, look in the mirror for what your forefathers have done. And this is not to make anybody feel guilty or anything like that, because none of us can control what our forefathers did. But let's just understand some history, and let's be measured in the way we work with people, because there's a lot we have to atone for. Kathleen, fossil fuel companies received more in subsidies last year than the military budget. Thank you, my dear sister. You know, it's always good to have some folks ready to refute. So it free? Yeah. Costs nothing to get it out of the ground. Apparently you didn't listen to what I say, my brother Ledo. I said after recovering their cost. After recovering their cost. You understand that, right, sir? Okay, yeah, I totally remember how all of us Republicans were screaming to impeach Obama, and let's not forget the FBI investigation that took 2 years to investigate Obama. Investigate Obama about what? Obama had one of the cleanest presidencies, less corrupt than just about every presidency under existence, including Carter. And we know Carter was an honorable man. You guys like to demonize Carter, but if there's one president I admire to the core, to some extent more so than even President Obama because of the type of life that he's lived afterwards, is El Señor Carter. Carter left the presidency, and Carter went and did progressive things. He went out there and he sweat with his peers and he built houses. Carter went out there and he went to other parts of the world, third world countries, and he ran elections. I mean, if you want to talk about a president who went ahead and lived humbly, even in his church, and you guys know I don't do the church thing, but it's admirable what Carter has done and what Carter continues to do. We'll watch Obama to see if Obama lives up to the expectations, or does he allow to continue to get the big speaking bucks from Wall Street, and how much of the big speaking bucks in Wall Street, if he gets, if he'll return that into the fold. Because I tell you what, if I were to get hugely popular and the Wall Street started to want me to talk and give me big bucks, I would take the money. But I tell you one thing, I would be throwing most of it back into the system. I would have all kinds of organizations to make sure that all the things that I talk about are realized, the little that I can do. You know why? Because I think that's the way it should be. Mike Cisak refuted Kathleen and said incorrect. According to the IRS, they have a total of $4 billion in tax deductions with just $1 billion in subsidies. Wait a minute. $4 billion in tax deductions. Oh, God. That answers the question. You know, Kathleen, with regard to Mike Cisak, many times we don't understand exactly how things work. Mike, you should call in, brother, so we can talk about it. You should call in. Anyhow, I don't have enough time to really get into El Señor, to the last subject, but which was Robert Reich on socialism as a trope. So I'm going to fly that over until tomorrow. So tomorrow, the same blog of the week that we have, which was that blog from Robert Reich, we're going to do tomorrow. Because, and you know, this is the third time we're postponing it. Every time, you know, like I said, you guys come first, all of you, my left wingers, my right wingers, my middle wingers. If you guys start making the topic that I have to answer these questions that you have there, that I have to comment on these questions or whatever, you come first. You come first. If you call in, if you do whatever, I'm going to stop whatever I had to do after we get through the beginning, of course, to take care of what you want taken care of. Because like I said, this show, and I mean this from the core of the heart, this show belongs to whom? To you. The show belongs to you. Anyhow, folks, I have to do my last request of the day. First of all, I'd like you to please go to Patreon. Let me put that up on the screen. I'd love for you to go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Please support. Please go ahead and support our program, Politics Done Right, at patreon.com/politicsdoneright. I'm trying to go ahead and pull up my my GoFundMe. I want to see if Sometimes you sit down there and you say, like, maybe I should have had that prepared so that when I came on, I would have the GoFundMe just ready to tell folks to go there, but I don't have it, so I'm going to leave that alone. I'm not going to try to pull that up. But also, please remember to go to store.politicsdoneright.com and get you your cup. Store.politicsdoneright.com. Please go ahead and get you your cup. We also have T-shirts and phone covers and all of that with Politics Done Right. Why don't you guys get some of those things, and then when you meet me in Philly in Philadelphia at Netroots Nations, for those of you who are going to Netroots Nation, we can have a cup of coffee in the Willie's, or rather in the Politics Done Right cup. But most of all, folks, I really would love to have more of your subscriptions. It's not I want to have. We need more of your subscriptions. We need several hundred more subscriptions. So please go to patreon.com, patreon.com/politicsdoneright and join the family. We are truth tellers. We're here to encourage everybody to be a part of the body politic, to make sure we do what we have to do to ensure that this country represents us all. Those of you who subscribe at patreon.com/politicsdoneright get all our books online. All of our books you get online to read. As I see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. I promise you read that book, you're going to understand the economy, and you're going to understand why we need to start doing things the way we need to start doing things, my friends. So think about it. Please go ahead and subscribe at patreon.com/politicsdoneright. We're getting to the end of the show now, so I want to admonish, not admonish, I'd like to ask all of you to stay engaged. I'd like to ask all of you also, we have everybody right now, all the presidential candidates are out there, they're telling you, oh, give. Even those that know they don't stand a chance of winning, because the sole purpose of that giving is many times to supply consultants with money, supply business friends with money, etc. And I'm not saying that to be malicious or anything like that, but that's just how it is. We know how it is. Sometimes it's to increase their profile. There are many reasons. But if you don't have much to add to the discussion, but you're still running and collecting, you are hampering many other sources, but we can't control that. All we can ask people to do is be measured in the way and where you give. And I tell folks where I give. I give to kpft.org, the radio station from Pacifica. I give to dailycoast.com, opednews.com, democraticunderground.com, coffeepartyusa.com, the Democratic Party, because as a Democrat, I believe every Democrat should be supporting their party. Even if there are some issues with the party, I think we should. Because there is an infrastructure there that needs to be supported. It doesn't happen by magic. So I will always, while I'm within the Democratic Party, support the Democratic Party as well. But and there are several others that I can't think about right now. I have to give just small contributions because, as you know, being a full-time political activist is not very rewarding. I mean, it's not very financially rewarding. It is very it is rewarding, however, for doing what you know you ought and should be doing. So what I ask you guys again is to please support us. I'm going to put that on the screen one more time. Please go ahead and go to patreon.com, patreon.com/politicsdoneright, and become a supporter. If you're already a supporter and you can afford a little bit more, you can buy Politics Done Right and yet another cup of coffee. Please consider giving us another cup of coffee, or another 2 cups of coffee a month, or another 3 cups of coffee a month, because we operate on a very, very small budget to make sure that we can get this to you. It's a lot of work. Like I've been telling folks, it's hard to believe, but I work on average 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, to make sure that we get the message out. Work with a lot of other people as well. I'm not what they call a keyboard warrior. The keyboard warrior is somebody who just raises hell behind the keyboard but does nothing else. Last night I was at a KPFT board meeting. I'm a KPFT member. Tonight, I'll be at a DSA meeting. Another organization doing a whole lot of things, Democratic Socialists of America. Yesterday, or the day before, I don't remember where I was, but so I don't just stay behind a keyboard. Not only that, we go out and get stories from people. You can look at, I have a new series starting, people who are making a difference. So we go out there and do interviews with people so we do a lot to bring stories to people. As you can see, when Kathleen called earlier today, I asked Kathleen for her story because I want your stories as well. I want to hear from you. Because here's the thing, and I'm going to go over by a minute. I didn't expect to go over, but I want to tell you guys a story here. This is important. Most of our activists talk to just people. They just talk. I want to do more than that. Your story is a story of every single American. Your story is the story of many. And many don't act because they don't know that there are others with that same story. Stories is everything, or everything. And that is what I want to bring as well. I don't only want to bring our cooperative knowledge, I also want to bring our stories. Our stories are very powerful. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3.